YouTubers, it is 9 p.m. Pacific time, broadcasting live from Merrick, BC. It is I, the one and only Mike Martins, from the Mike Martins channel, the one and only. Anyways, it is I, your humble servant, and I am very grateful and happy to be here with y'all. And it's been a ruckus, in the housing market. A little bit of pushing, a little bit of tug-of-warring. And I'm seeing a lot of tug-of-warring going back and forth. And I want to thank everyone that's joining me today on a Wednesday Hump Day special edition. I got some really good articles for you guys I would like to share. A lot of articles being sent to me from all over the place. Before I kick off today, I would like to... I got a really thoughtful message today. Somebody messaged me on Facebook. A really nice message, and it was really... to the heart. Somebody messaged me and said, "Hey, Mike, I did what you did. I left Vancouver. I moved, I don't want to say what town, but he asked, to be kind of disclosed and stuff. He moved to a small town. I checked it on the map. I had to see where it was because I heard of it, but I didn't know exactly where it was located. So he's got movie theaters cheap, no traffic, and what else did he say? And he found a job making almost the same amount of money that he used to make in Vancouver, and he's living the dream. And I'm so happy. I am so happy that I'm even reaching one person. And he told me living in the big city was an absolute hoax. It was something that was... because I keep talking, it's a grand scheme. Being part of a big grand scheme usually isn't. It's an illusion. It's not. It's there, but it doesn't really. As a human being, if you work hard and you go through life and you do your things, it doesn't change much of your thought. Your relaxation kicks in, less stress kicks in. Things become just more happy and just less of everything. And he told me, no traffic, no this, no that. So I'm very happy I reached out to somebody who left the big city and said I was right. And it was a nice long message on Facebook. He wanted to remain anonymous. And I'm very happy I'm happy. I'm very happy. Anyways, I want to do a quick plug here. Please don't forget to watch my series. It's playing right now. Starting a business from scratch. So opening a new shop. This is part 32. We're getting things together in the shop. I got the place painted. The ceiling is done. I'm going to do another video tomorrow. I painted the bathroom. And the colors I chose for my store actually reminded me of a movie. And if you look at the colors right now, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Semi-Pro. I think Will Ferrell was in it. And basically... it's the Flint Tropics, the team that he played for. And if you look at the colors of my shop, it's actually the exact same blue and the same kind of orange that they used in the Flint Tropics logo. So I thought of that. And then I was mentioning it to someone today. And they're like, yeah, you know what? You should put a Flint Tropics thing up on your wall. Anyways, don't forget to watch my show, Opening a New Shop. I'm on part 32. I'm ordering in now... furniture and stuff to furnish my building and everything and get everything going. So anyways, let's go to trends in the housing market, broadcasting out of Merritt, BC. I want to thank everyone for joining me once again and all the people that support this channel by watching and sending me links. And tug-of-war. You got a tug-of-war happening over the place. You're getting different articles. You're getting one side saying, hey, things are okay, it's just a little cool down, homes won't go down. Then you got the other side saying, oh my God, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? And yeah. Oh, Tino's online. Yeah, shop's looking good. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, so it's a back and forth tug-of-war. So you got one side saying, basically that's, how do you say, you got this one side that's catering to the people that own homes, basically saying, oh, no, this is just normal. This is what you call a hiccup. That's what they said when the Titanic hit an iceberg. Oh, it's just a little hiccup. We'll get this sorted out. You know what I'm saying? And then you got, whatchamacallit, the other side saying, oh my God, doom and gloom, crash, global wide, worse than the United States, blah, 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 this and that. All the fear porn coming out, you know? So you got two sides of this. And this article, so this article is saying, this is from Maclean's, and this was put up a few hours ago. No, this is from June 10. I'm sorry. There's another one that's tied into this one, and I'll get to it in a second. A national real estate crash isn't in the cards. Really? The Bank of Canada says we won't have a U.S.-style housing crash, but we resemble pre-crisis America in other dangerous ways. So, what is that supposed to mean exactly? Is it supposed to mean yes, it is, but it is from a different perspective? Because I don't know. I don't speak in English. You know what I'm saying? I don't. What does this mean? It is or it isn't. So, Ottawa didn't handle a near bankruptcy of Home Capital Group all that well. If you guys remember that fiasco, taking pensioners' money and all this Mickey Mouse to kind of bail out banks. You know what I'm saying? It's all going to boil down to the working poor and the middle class, the ones that can't afford to buy in, the ones that are playing the chase the tail game, the ones that are basically going nowhere and not making headway and just, you know, living sighing all the time. They're the ones who have to pay this mess when the poop hits the fan. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? The authorities behave like it was 1996, the last time a Canadian financial institution failed. They said little in public, while reportedly doing all sorts of prudent things behind the scenes. I mean, what's new? Meanwhile, flimsy parallels to America's housing meltdown spread through international markets via Twitter, the instant messaging functions on Bloomberg data terminals, the financial press, which appeared a tad too eager to cover the crisis. It came a month too late, but someone in Ottawa finally explained in convincing detail why a home capital could never be Canada's Lehman moment at press conference on June 8th. So basically, it's not a Lehman and Freddie Mac and all that other stuff that happened in all the jazz that happened in the United States. And they're saying that, you know, it wasn't that this whole thing wasn't one of those. It's just we got this blip in the radar. We fixed it. We're back on track. And says Carolyn Wilkins at the number 2 Bank of Canada laid out all the reasons why a national housing meltdown is so remote. They're acting like it's up in the North Pole in some flashing beacon light in the middle of nowhere. That's what it make it sound like. It's just so out there. It's quite tempting to draw parallels with the United States, Wilkins said. That is high and home prices are off the charts. Yet, at the same time, when you understand that what really led to the severity of the financial stress in the U.S., which actually went global in 2008-2009, it was related to a number of factors that are not present in Canada, she said. Yeah. Can I tell you exactly what's not present in the United States and what's present in Canada? Okay. In Miami, I was there, I saw it. In Fort Lauderdale, Miami, West Palm Beach. The average house went from $90,000 to $300,000. The average one bedroom went from $56,000 to $110,000. The average mansion went from like $450,000 to just under $750,000. That's okay. What Canada has, the U.S. doesn't, is houses went from $400,000 to $2.4 million, $2 million teardowns, blah blah blah. And you think it's not in the cards to be a worse tsunami? Hey, this is not fear porn. I'm telling what it is. Okay, when you have a house that goes up, a mansion that goes from $400,000 to $700,000 to a 12-bedroom with 5-car garage, fine. That's in the cards. You can see that movement happen. But when you got a $400,000 house go to $2.4 million, in reality, the house is maybe worth $250,000. You're in trouble. The gap is huge in comparison. None of what Wilkins went on to say was revelatory, but she and her boss, Stephen Pelosi, apparently thought it needed reporting. Pelosi took the inevitable question about the United States and then handed it off to Wilkins, who had come with notes on the subject. The list of factors that make Canada different from the U.S. in 2006 is long, and Wilkins evidently didn't want to forget one. Those factors: American lenders were giving money to anyone, whereas Canada must do much more to prove they can't afford the payments. Actually, Canada was, a lot of banks were fraudulently mucking the numbers so the TDS would fit. So Canada could afford the payments, but it's not a reality. And the TDS in Canada doesn't factor in car insurance, cell phone payment, gasoline, food. In the United States, when they're doing the TDS and CGS, they actually use a different one where they have something they add in with food, and they average it out for how many people live in your how many people are in your family living in the home. So they average that out, and that brings your TDS higher. So maybe you can't do the deal. But let's continue. Canadian laws punish anyone who tries to walk away from a loan, meaning households have greater incentive to hang on, Wilkins said. Finally, there is none of the wild financial engineering that Wall Street undertook to profit off America's housing mania at the turn of the millennium. We have much less securitization, Wilkins said. It's public and it's plain Jane. Not when you're getting, or the economy is based off housing entirely. That's a problem in Canada. Like Australia is facing the same problem. London. The occasion for a press conference was the release of Bank of Canada's twice-a-year financial statement review, an increasingly readable document that the central bank uses to flag weak spots in the circulation of cash and credit. Canada's chief economic stewards remain concerned about the debt and home prices in Greater Toronto and Vancouver. They say there is a moderate risk that housing prices in those places could drop abruptly because values long ago broke their tether with fundamentals. Yet, if that came to pass, the central bank thinks the damage would be regional, not national. So basically what they're saying is you're not going to have the same problem that America had. It's a long article, so if you want to read it, here it is, people. It's a long article. It's by Maclean's. It's in their magazine. National real estate crash isn't in the cards. Coast to coast, I don't see it because Alberta is already a lot of people defaulting in Alberta right now. I see a lot of house pricing going down in Newfoundland and PEI. So here's another one. Why national real estate crash isn't on the horizon. Same thing, same video. And articles reworded somewhat, but same thing. Let's continue. This one is really interesting, so people wake up if you're in BC, British Columbia. So I'm following this really closely. It's very important for you because you guys need to understand something, and I've been seeing this from day one. Vancouver, British Columbia is like the blueprint of housing failure for the whole world. Whatever happens in Vancouver is going to happen in any other bubble around the world. So if you're watching in Auckland, New Zealand, if you're in Sydney, Melbourne, if you're in London, if you're in Glasgow, if you're in Belfast, if you're in the United States, in Seattle, what's happening in Seattle and Oregon, this is a big deal. BC real estate falls by over $10 billion year to date. Now, whatever happens in Vancouver happens everywhere else. They start applying these foreign investor taxes, just like Vancouver did. They start applying this vacancy tax, It ends up just following everything Vancouver did. So what they should do is get a citizen from Vancouver to attend one citizen to go to different countries. Every country will get one Canadian citizen from Vancouver to explain, okay guys, this is going to happen now, and this is going to happen now. This is what happened in Vancouver, it's going to happen here. And every other city is following their tailcoats and trying to contain or simmer this problem before it becomes a catastrophe. So let's go. BC real estate sales fall by over 10 billion year to date. Wow. Any doubts that Canadian real estate is cooler than last year was just confirmed. So this is from today, by the way, depending when you're watching this transmission. It could be a day ahead, so no one freak out, okay? The latest stats from BC Real Estate Association, BCREA, show significant declines in real estate crazed province. BCREA numbers show the province is still seeing higher prices, but huge drops both in sales and dollar volume. Average sale price increased 4.2%. Real estate prices are moving higher across BC, just not as fast as locals are probably used to seeing. I mean, this is normal now, 4.2%. The average residential sale price was 752,000 in May, a 4.2% increase from the same month last year. Greater Vancouver had the highest prices at 1.1 million, a 5.2% increase from May 2016. Victoria saw the largest jump in average sale price at $674,000, a 15.1% increase. So across the board, other cities are bringing up the bar. So don't be fooled. The same time last year, all districts in Northern Lights saw the average sale price increase. So here's the graph right here, so you can take a look at it. Fraser Valley, Kamloops. So I'm in the Kamloops area, somewhat. Yeah, three. I'm below, a little bit below that, but that's okay. I'm only 40 minutes away. Okanagan, South Okanagan. So you're seeing the real estate price. So it's the other cities outside are making the difference, you know what I'm saying, to balance it out. Dollar volume of sales showed a 4% decline. Last month showed a significant decline in total dollar volume across the province. Residential sales totaled 9.33 billion, a 4% decline from the same month last year. There were 12,402 sales, a decline of 7.9%. It's safe to say that the decline in sales had a direct impact on total dollar volume dropping. Year to date, this adds up to 10 billion less than last year. The drop in sales have been adding up in massive decline when looked at year to date from January to the end of May in 2017. Can you believe we're already in May, mid-May? Like, I'm blown that we're almost halfway through the year. There were 43,158 sales. This is a 20.7% declining compared with the same period last year. The total dollar volume residential sales in the first 5 months of 2017 added up to 30.62 billion, 25.2% decline from last year. The numbers are still huge for a province with less than 5 million people, but the 10 billion decline in sales volume is nothing to sneeze at. There's the BC residential sales years to date from May. There's the Fraser Valley. There's northern BC, Vancouver Island. There's my area, Kamloops, right there. So, anyways, let's move along. So this is not even news. I don't even know why this is on the news. Construction company sues Vancouver realtor over sale that fell through. I wanted to add this here, but there's always lawsuits with construction company and realtors and all kinds of things that are happening, you know what I'm saying? Global cities are starting on the decline. Thanks for the comment, Mia. Walking Journey, one of my good friends. I recommend you guys to see his channel. He commented here. And he's down in Texas. And he left California. He did the same thing I did. I left Vancouver, the big city, to move to a smaller town. He left California to move to a small town in Texas. He's a really good guy. He's got a really good channel. He's a very good family guy. He commented here, Walking Journey says, same thing is starting to happen here in Texas. My land value is more than double. No BS. And then Who Am I always comments here and says, in Orange County, there is nothing for sale. One house near me just put up a sign and an escrow in a week. So, here we go. Let's continue. Leave your comments below. And Let's continue. So construction company sues. Like, I mean, is this even news? A condominium renovation company has sued Vancouver realtor for breach of trust and conversion, alleging a buyer working with the realtor blocked out of Yaletown condo purchase. Yeah, so we're going to skip this one. Goodbye. Don't think that's news, but let's continue. Let's head over to Toronto. Toronto is I get a lot of people, just so you guys know. I get two people from Toronto, two types of people. I get the one person that says, Mike, look what's happening in Toronto, Mississauga, Oakville, Cambridge. What is this going on? This is a big deal. And then you get the other people, like that Ivan guy. I don't know who that guy is that trashes me all the time. Says, yeah, you're still scaring people, eh? People are losing money because of you, because they're not investing. Yeah. So, you get that kind of guy, where buying is something that you should be doing. No, it's what you feel like you should do. I'm not telling you what to do, because I don't know nothing. I'm just reading articles and telling you guys what's happening, and putting my spin on things, and you guys commenting, on how you feel about what's going on, right? Toronto sees a 64... Whoa, what is this thing freaking out for? Come on, don't freak out on me. Toronto sees a 64% increase in new detached listings. Toronto real estate seeing new inventory and detached homes, no exception. The market is still saw more sales and higher prices. Look at that. They're mostly detached homes. Numbers from the Toronto Real Estate Board show that didn't change buyer mentality by much. The detached market saw higher prices, more new listings, and more sales than last year. Well, there's more on the market to sell. Of course, you're going to make more sales. Detached prices increased over 28%. Despite media reporting buyer uncertainty, Toronto detached prices are still moving higher. The benchmark price, that is the price of typical detached home, is now $1 million across Trebe. This represented a 28.76% increase in the 416 benchmark. 416 is the area code. The benchmark reached 1.2 million, 24.82% increase from the same time last year. The city proper has higher prices, but the burbs are where prices are climbing the fastest. So look at this. So if you feel safe to jump on this piggy bank train, it kind of dipped right here. It's dipping right here. So if you feel that it's the right thing to do to jump on this, and remember what that first article said that I read, that it's very, very, very hard to walk away from mortgages. You're on the hook. This is not like the United States, where if you can't afford a house, you go to the bank, you drop off the keys and say, I'm not paying for a house worth less than what I bought it for. Or I can't afford to pay this. Here's the keys, you can keep the house. So, if you want to jump on this gravy boat right now, hey, it's all in your hands. You know what I'm saying? It's all in your hands. I'm not recommending it. I don't recommend it because this is way out of control. And I'm thinking the only reason why they're seeing more sales is because there's more just more for sale. And there's a lot of gullible people out there that think a 36% increase in 1 year for a house is normal. So the attention has turned to the average price, which is making a much more conservative climb. The average price across Trebe regions was $1.141 million. A 15.6% increase from the same time last year. Breaking that down, the 416 had an average sale price of $1.5 million, a 16.6% increase. To contrast, the 904 saw the average sale price of $1 million, a 15% increase from the same time last year. Average prices can drop for a lot of reasons, including a preference for lower priced units. Consequently, they're not a great indicator for use for the market direction. Wow. So here it is. Detached listings increase. Look at that. These are the listings versus sales. So look at this. You got 14,000 listings and then you got 4,000 sales. So the more distance this graph becomes, the more scrambled things things get. So detached sales increased over 26%. Once again, guys, when you have 60% of the market for sale, you're going to sell a lot more, obviously. But this graph kind of throws me for a curveball. You see, this is one of the articles that kind of make you seem like, hey, don't worry about it. It's okay, you know. But people, just be careful, because you're on the hook for mortgages. I think in England, you're also on the hook. And I think even in Australia, you're on the hook for your mortgages. It's not like the U.S. where you walk in and say, hi, here's my keys, Merry Christmas, God bless you, and you walk away. And you walk away and go rent something. But, like I said, these countries, you got to be super careful when you get into this stuff, because it could be a lifetime of a nightmare. It could be a nightmare for a long time. Let's continue here. So then you see an economist. This was posted yesterday. Home prices could fall up to 40%, says economist. The Toronto and Vancouver housing markets are on the brink of severe downturn that could hurt the economy's GDP and drag home prices down up to 40 points. A Capital economist says, I see a correction between 20 and 40% in the Canadian housing market in 5 years. David Madani, senior... Okay, I read this guy. This guy's good. David Madani is really good, because I've already read some of his stuff. He's kind of on par with most of the stuff he talks about. Senior Canadian economist at Capital Economics told Business News Network on Monday, BNN, he suggests there will be a slight dip in Toronto's housing prices before the end of the year, but that's all it will take for many homeowners into cashing out of the market. Once prices stop going up, the whole reason for speculating in the market disappears, he told BNN. Sales have slumped. Usually prices follow sales. Vancouver and Toronto housing markets have been white hot for at least a few years, but experts have been sounding the alarm about possible correction in the market prices on the horizon. Last week, for instance, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development urged Canada to do more about addressing the risky Toronto and Vancouver housing markets. The warning came shortly after the International Monetary Fund urged Canada to protect against possible correction. Mandani warned Capital Economics subscribers about the possible downturn in a newsletter on Friday. He said that tough regulations are expected to strangle a recent rebound in Vancouver's home prices, while Toronto will likely experience a price correction amid its current slowdown in sales. So, people are commenting here. Yeah, so people are talking about here property tax. I think this is on $1 million. Property tax is $6,879 a year. So it's about $500 a month, right? If I'm correct, if my math is even right. But yeah, that's pretty yeah. The housing market appears on the verge of a downturn and will negatively impact the economic growth from the second quarter onwards, Mandani wrote. He warned that the recent uptick in Vancouver home sales is a head fake. And Toronto's current sales slump suggests housing prices could decline outright before the end of the year, which would put a damper on household consumption in late 2017. So according to this, the economic outlook for this year and next appears to be worsening, he wrote. So I read quite a few of this guy's articles. He's pretty good. So somebody else just commented. Mommy commented, I'm paying $5,800 a year for property tax. And then somebody else commented, Xavier said, government is making money from all zones. Yeah. Depending on the housing market, it's not good when you don't have a job to go to pay your taxes. That becomes, everybody loses, right? Airbnb is being regulated. How did it impact Toronto's real estate prices? 8 months now, New York City outright bans short-term rentals like Airbnb. The city of Toronto has decided to regulate it. The new regulations are largely bureaucratic, such as licensing short-term rental companies like Airbnb and starting a registry of short-term rental units. The biggest change, however, is going to be the banning of people listing units where they don't live. Turns out some enterprising entrepreneurs have been buying homes to operate as full-time rental suites. Sure, that sounds bad, but how many people are really doing that? Is the number large enough to even impact homeownership and rental rates? Let's dive through some Airbnb's points. Extended rental stays. Let's look at this, guys. This is affecting a lot of people in a lot of cities, right? The number of Airbnb rentals operating for extended periods of time is significant according to the company. Statistics submitted to the city show that 1,680 rentals, 26%, were booked more than 91 days out of the year in 2015. The key word there is booked. Of course, it's fair to assume that these units were available on Airbnb for more than 91 days. 600 of those units were booked, more than 181 days, representing 9% of listings. It's also probably worth nothing that 2,250 units of 37% of total listings belonged to an operator of more than one listing. It would be interesting to see how many of these multi-unit operators overlap with the domestic speculator numbered the province released. So there it is. Airbnb bookings per listing in Toronto: 1 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, 91 to 1. So it goes, there you go. More than 207. See, meaningless numbers. I think it's just a thing, a little ploy, because I don't know if you guys know that little stick, that little cube that you put on the bottom of your phone and people could scan and run a credit card on your phone or a debit card and they could pay like that. Apparently, they're trying to stop that because a lot of people aren't declaring their taxes to the government of Canada. And that's, this could be the same thing. I'm not sure how people are to declare their taxes. How does it work? And I think once the government starts getting involved when people make money, I think it's because there's a problem with taxation, right? And I think it's one of the reasons why drugs aren't legal or whatever the case is. I think it's because it's just hard for taxation purposes and why drugs are so illegal if you're caught with possession, because it's very hard to tax it, right? That's just my opinion, right? Okay, so I was wrong about Alberta a few weeks back on my show, saying it will be the next housing market crisis. I was wrong. Montreal, right here. Anyways, Montreal, the new hottest housing market in Canada. Canada's real estate market has a new big shot. Montreal. And it's summertime. Of course it's going to get booming. Watch when that minus 40 hits and minus 50 wind chill, frozen rain, frozen gas lines, your car won't start, stuck at home for 4 days till the huge cold snap passes. Yeah, I'm not trying to put a snow on people's dreams, but watch when winter hits. Montreal, owing the fact that Toronto's housing market is dying down, and a period of Vancouver's housing price increases are now well behind it. From a data collected by the Greater Montreal Real Estate Board, Montreal saw its highest sales in May, which trumped its last year's May sales by 15%. The city had no recorded sales this high since before its financial crisis in the years 2008-2009. Referencing a statement made by the president of GMREB Board of Directors, Matthew Kazinuo, this was an exceptional month of May on Montreal's residential real estate market. And in the past year alone, single-family home prices have risen by 6%, although when compared to Toronto's recent double-digit price growth. This might seem like nothing. Nothing to write home about, but for a place like Montreal, those housing whose housing market has been making little or no progress for several years. A 6% rise is a big deal. Just this January, the city's real estate board foresaw a 1% growth for the coming year. It has now changed its expectation to a 6% price growth, having been excluded from Canadian real estate market for so long. Montreal was one of the first many people thought of to be the next target for foreign buyers after Ontario government initiated the 15% foreign buyers tax on the Greater Toronto Area. So, at the end of the day, Montreal's real estate is still more affordable than a lot of Toronto and Vancouver. In May, the average price of a single-family home increased to $319,000, which was a fraction of the $1.56 million mean price recorded in Vancouver, a $1.1 million estimated price seen in Toronto last month. So the average home, so the average, let's say 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,000 square foot home in Montreal is $319. Same home in Vancouver is $1.56, and the same home in Toronto is $1.1. So you see where I'm going with this? Let us continue, people. So this is an interesting one. I saw this one today. It is from today's date. It was when I opened the article, it was posted 44 minutes ago. Let me just take a sip of my drink here. U.S. Fed closing the door on low-rate mortgages in Canada. Experts. Many economists are predicting the Bank of Canada will hike its overnight lending rate for the first time in nearly 7 years by the end of 2017. The U.S. Federal Reserve has raised its trend-setting interest rate on Wednesday for the third time in 6 months. I wonder who became president 6 months ago and why the interest keeps going up while he is president. To the highest level since the global financial crisis hit the fall in 2008. The Fed's latest show of faith in the strengthening U.S. economy comes back of Canada governing Stephen Pelosi suggests the interest rate cuts we did 2 years ago have done their job. So you gave out more free money, basically. Free money. Ponzi scheme. I mean, simply put, taking on a mortgage is about to become more expensive on both sides of the border, even if Pelosi's hint that a Canadian rate hike is on the horizon turns out to be unfounded. Interest rates are rising in the U.S., and it doesn't take long for that to filter into Canada. Of course! Mortgage broker Ian McDaffin told DV News ultra-low mortgages are probably for the most part over. So those jumbo mortgages and all those consolidation mortgages or the 110% loan-to-value mortgages that people took, I can't believe anyone took 110% loan-to-value mortgages. And then in the UK, they were offering 0% down mortgages, basically to put you on a hook on a property. So you're on the hook and you can't walk away. I would sign zero down, low interest rate mortgage. I would if I could walk away from it. That's how they get you. As the saying goes, when the U.S. sneezes, Canada gets a cold. U.S. interest rates on the impact on Canadian mortgage rates are no exception. Fixed rate mortgages, the most common in Canada, are tied to long-term Canadian bond prices, which are in turn tied to U.S. bond prices. Wow. Banks sell bonds to raise money and to lend to mortgage holders and other borrowers. When the U.S. Federal Reserve raises rates, bond prices typically fall. As bond prices fall, banks tighten their lending and mortgage rates rise. For example, if current interest rates rise, giving newly issued bonds a yield of 10%, older issuing yields at 5% would not be in demand until the price falls to match the same return generated by the new prevailing interest rate. The prospect of a pricier mortgages is a major talking point for prospective buyers like Eric Sumir. The 28-year-old chartered accountant said he has been saving to buy a home in Ottawa for more than 2 years and will have to weigh some tough choices if borrowing becomes more costly. You could bite the bullet and buy a place you can't afford, like I've been saying to you guys for ages, or you can just save up longer. I'm taking the approach to save up longer so it's affordable, he said. So that's smart. You know, the part right here is really interesting. That looming decision that the rate hike south of the border has Samir and his partner thinking about how to scale back their dream home. But 2 years of careful saving have only strengthened their resolve to enter a housing market at the moment they can afford it. It's gonna go up a little bit now, but in 6 months it's gonna go up even more, he said. You can't predict how much you save, but you can predict the outcome. So if you have a 1% mortgage on $100,000, you're paying pretty much peanuts in interest rates, right? But if I mean, nothing's 100,000. So if your house, let's say you bought into something for $1 million, okay, and your interest rate goes up a couple of percent, that's going to increase your monthly payments anywhere from $400 to $1,100 a month. And some people can't get that. They just can't make. There's some people that can do $50 or $100 increase a month. There's some people that are struggling out there big time. Okay. Yep, they're forced to raise the like John Kay said, they're forced to raise now. They have no choice. They must raise interest rates. This one is I was looking for articles and I found this. Canada's middle class is on the brink of ruin. We'd rather binge on cheap credit than live within our means. That is so bad. Because you end up paying for it. You end up paying more for it in the long run. I always live within my means. That's why I bought the house I'm in. Watch my Living the Dream series. I bought a house. I bought a very big house because I wanted a big house. The house is endless bedrooms, 3 living rooms. It's enormous. On almost an acre of land, huge backyard, garden, the whole 9 yards. But mind you, I live 2 hours out of the city. Is it worth it? Oh, yes, it's worth it. You have no idea how much. Basically, I took my savings that I saved for all those years, and I just bought this house for Claire. That was the way. I said, you know what? I could walk away from paying this rent that I'm paying. My rent was going to go up to $2,400 a month in Vancouver. So I just said, you know what? I'm not living in this facade anymore. I left the city. Somebody asked me how many square foot. I think the house is 4,900, just under 5,000 square feet. The living space. I have parking for 9 cars outside. Gigantic balconies. On the upper balconies, a front balcony. It looks like a little bistro. So I'm setting up 4 tables, 4 little private tables. So people could walk in and choose a table and stuff. It's pretty cool, right? Watch my Living the Dream series. You'll see tons of bedrooms. 4 of my bedrooms have en-suites on them. 4 of them do. I think it's 5 do. Is it 5 or 4? I can't remember. The 3 kids' rooms upstairs don't have a suite. Mine does, my bedroom, and then the other bedroom on the other side that does. Then this room I'm in, this gigantic office, this has an ensuite too. Yeah, someone's saying, I wish there was a Merit in Ontario. I'm pretty sure there's small town. I don't know. Because this is a cowboy town. It's very unique. It's really interesting. Everybody just says hi to each other. It's very hard for me to go to the city now. Because every time I see somebody now, I'm like, hi. Hey, everywhere I go. So when I go to Vancouver, I feel like such a jackass. I say hi to everybody. They look at me like this. So it's really hard. I'm parking my car. I'm in Vancouver. I'm getting out to go to the Home Depot. And naturally, I just, hi, how are you? And then they look at me like, it's like, whoa, whoa. I'm sorry. I live in Merritt now, and it took me time to adjust. Even when I'm driving, people are like waving. I get so many people waving at me while I'm driving. It's so nodding. And when I'm walking down the street, hey, aren't you the guy that's opening that game store? Holy smokes, I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to open. It's like, everywhere I go to the local Walmart. Everybody knows my name there that works there now. I go to anywhere, everybody knows my name. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I left that whole being part of a big, being part of that big grand scheme of things, believing that being part of a big city would not only increase my chances in life and prosperity. That I believe that for even myself, I believe it. But you know what? I step back and say, you know what? I'm going to raise my kids now. My son's turning 3. My daughter now, she's going to be 1. I'm not raising my kids in the city that's just me. I don't know nothing. But I did my thing. Now my kids have a place they could call home. Nothing but schools around here. All my neighbors here are one's a firefighter, the other one's RCMP, the other one works for drug enforcement, undercover, whatever. Another one here works as a caregiver. Great neighbors. Live in a cul-de-sac. It's quiet. I can't complain. How much do I pay for taxes? I just paid my taxes last week, and I paid $1,900. I paid for my 19. No, I paid $1,900 because I got the homeowner grant or whatever that crap was. I applied for it and I got approved for that. So, yeah. Anyways, so this is it, guys. Canada's middle class is on the brink of ruin, and this is a problem. In 2014, Kevin and Karen were earning more than ever. The two professionals, Kervin was an accountant, Kira was a sales coordinator, immigrated to Canada from their native Mauritius, I don't even know, in 2010, seeking a better life. To all appearances, their hard work had been rewarded. They had a Toyota Corolla, a Mazda 5 in the driveway, and were paying down a new townhouse in Surrey, British Columbia. I was considered successful, says Kervin. People might have thought I had a few debts, but nothing I couldn't handle. 1 year later, creditors are calling daily. Kervin and Kara's combined after-tax monthly income of $7,300 should have been enough for them to get by. The couple had a few extravagances, but they had debt more than $150,000 of it. Oh, keep piling on the unsecured and secured debt. Why? A lot of that was because of their credit cards and credit lines Kervin had used to carry his family through the rough patch that began in spring of 2014 after the birth of their second child. A daughter, Kira, needed a C-section, major surgery with lengthy recovery period with no family nearby to help. Kervin took a 3-month parental leave from his accounting job in Schindler Electric, a European multinational. I felt I owed it to my wife, he said. Since I came to Canada, I'd been working hard. I didn't have a chance to connect with my family at all. To get the time off, he set up a job sharing arrangement with two less senior employees. It came with a risk, and sure enough, he returned in 2014 to find that his job was gone. His duties had been transferred to other staffers. Kervin didn't sweat it at first. He was given a $11,000 severance package, 2 months' salary. He cashed his company shares worth $8,000, and the couple had $12,000 in saving. By July 2014, Kira had fully recovered, and Kervin began a contract with that was slated to last until February 2015. He was hired as a senior accountant for a logging company in Osoyoos, a tiny village 4 hours drive from Vancouver. A couple decided to settle in Penticton, which would mean a 45-minute commute from work. Around Christmas, they decided to take the children to Mauritius to visit family. The trip cost them $12,000, shaving their nest egg down to 9 large. Kervin wasn't worried. He had a job to return to in January and was confident he'd find work when the contract was up in February. I've always been optimist, he said. But when I returned from Mauritius, Kervin found that his boss had lost major client and could no longer afford to keep Kervin on the payroll. The couple moved to their current home in Surrey, where they rent to own for $1,700 a month. January passed without work. Then February, Kira returned to her full-time job as a sales coordinator. But with Kervin still unemployed, the rest of the savings evaporated. Rent, groceries, everything is costly, says Kervin. You get your paycheck and you don't know where it goes. By the end of January, the money was gone. They put their daughter in daycare and their son in after-school care, but they needed to come up with the $900 to cover both. The couple walked into a cash store on 72nd Avenue in Surrey and got their first payday loans for $450 each, with the annual interest rate at 590%. It wasn't easy to give the daycare that money because you know how costly the fees will be, says Kervin. The loan helped them get through the month. They flew in Kervin's mother to help his father to help take care of their kids. They paid for his mom's flight. Came to too large, $2,000. Finally, Kervin found work, a 2-month contract that lasted from mid-March to May 2015. But then the couple had more than $156,000 in debt that they hadn't been able to service since February. In the few years since they had moved to Canada, their monthly payments on credit cards, lines of credit, and payday loans has grown from $1,000 to $5,720. We could have taken a basement apartment and saved $600 a month on rent, he says Kervin. But Kira is allergic to dust, and living in a basement would have been a struggle. They could have gotten rid of the car, but that would have meant one of them would have to be forced to travel by bus, adding hours to travel time to their busy days. They could have gotten rid of their cell phones or their home internet, but that would have made Kevin's job search difficult, if not impossible. And the bills kept coming. The phone rang constantly. First creditors called, then collection agencies. Most of the time, I just didn't know what to tell them, Kira recalls. The stress ate away at the couple's relationship. They tried to support each other, but found themselves, after the kids went to bed, having long, sometimes heated discussions. We have debt everywhere, says Kervin. You don't know what to pay first. The couple agonized over whether to make payments for daycare or groceries or credit cards or cars. Kervin found work again in June, but then there were arrays with their payments to CIBC, and at the end of August, the bank began garnishing their wages. BC Hydro was threatening to disconnect the power. Kervin settled into a stressful routine. After his workday, he would come home and spend hours on the phone negotiating with collection agencies, representative, repeating the same information to a different caller each night. We just want to know how you're going to pay, the callers would say. One collection agent encouraged him to take one more payday loan to cover the payments. Because of that advice, Karen and Kevin ended up getting 6 of them over the course of 5 months for a combination of $7,935. Holy crap, this is depressing. Thanks to all the cheap credits, many of us can bridge our financial shortfalls for years before realizing we are on the brink of ruin. The couple's joint after-tax annual income was almost $87,600, but they couldn't keep up with the blockage of debt. Kervin, a diabetic, had gained 20 pounds. He couldn't sleep. He began having heart palpitations and panic attacks. The couple argued incessantly. I felt if I continued this way, said Kervin, I might just break. Kervin and Kira are hardly unique. Canadian households are now carrying more debt than those of any other G7 nations. By the end of 2016, Canadians owed a total of $2 trillion in mortgages. Consumer credits and loans. Millions of us now reporting living paycheck to paycheck, spending almost everything we make. The reason our debt level is so troubling to economists is that we appear to be nearing a breaking point when it comes to our ability to manage it. In recent survey by Canadian Payroll Association, almost 48% of respondents admitted they wouldn't be able to make ends meet if their paycheck were late even by a week. Canadians, in other words, don't have much of a cushion to handle an economic shock, such as a jump in interest rates or loss of income. Yet, thanks to all the cheap credit being doled out by the banks, many of us can bridge our financial shortfalls for years before realizing we're on the brink of ruin. So, guys, this is the thing. Yeah, payday loans are bad. I'm reading everyone's comments here. This is the article, guys. It's a long one. It's a nice story. I really want you guys to read this. It's called Canada's Middle Class on the Brink of Ruin. Please read it. It's from May 17. Yes, it's a bit older. It's a month old, but it's good. Now, the United States is in trouble. Mortgages are unaffordable in half of America's largest housing markets. It's huge. This is huge, people. Owning a home is becoming increasingly unaffordable proposition in many of the largest metropolitan areas across the U.S. In more than half of the nation's 35 largest markets, buying a typical home listed for sale now requires a greater share of income and medium value home entailed historically, according to a new report from real estate website Zillow. Californians have it the worst when it comes to home loan affordability. Mortgage payments as a share of income are higher in Los Angeles than in any other major city. For a typical property, these payments would eat up 46.8% of the median income. Historically, loan payments only represent 35.2% of the median incomes for owners in the city of Los Angeles. So, it's happening in the U.S. The news isn't any better for those who rent. According to Zillow, nationally, the cost of rent has held steady around 29.1% of the median income from 1985 to 2000. Rental payments only ate up 25.8% of people's take-home pay, which is decent. That's not that bad. Back to London. This article is from June 13, so it's like a day old. Foreign investors snapping up London homes suitable for first-time buyers. So the bigger detached properties are becoming more expensive, so they're picking up, the cheaper ones. Research of London, Cherning Khan, shows home buying used to be as buy-to-let investments and being held in offshore tax havens. Foreign investors are buying up thousands of homes suitable for the first-time buyers in London, using them to buy-to-let investments and often holding them in offshore tax havens. Research for London Mayor Sadiq Khan has revealed. Led by investors from Hong Kong and Singapore, foreign buyers snapped up 3,600 of London's 28,000 newly built homes between 2014 and 2016, according to the most comprehensive survey of the international investment in London housing. About half of those were priced first-time buyers between £200,000 and £500,000. The average cost of a home in the capital bought a first-time buyer now $405,000, according to Lloyds Bank, almost double the national average. A third of new homes in the prime central London boroughs of Westminster, Kensington, and Chelsea, yeah. And the city were also sold abroad. All London properties sold overseas, the study of period 11% were in the city of Westminster, 9.6. So take a look at this city of Westminster. Tower Hamlets, Greenwich, they're all pretty big. 61% of all overseas buyers were based in 4 countries in Southeast Asia. So Hong Kong's first, Singapore, Malaysia, and China. I think Hong Kong is considered part of China, right? 50% of London properties sold to overseas buyers cost less than £500,000. So that's sold in prime London, New Growth, Inner London, and Outer London. So this is affecting a lot of it's been affecting London, I think, for the last 6 years now. Irish Times. This one's from Ireland. It's from today's date. That's from tomorrow's date, June 15, 2017. It's still June 14 where I am. Is Ireland in danger of creating another housing bubble? Okay, you're seeing this. On the way down, we convinced ourselves it wasn't happening, or at least most of us did. Warning about the unsustainable nature of the Irish housing market went unheeded, or were countered with guff about the soft landings and demographic imperatives. Yeah, that's true. That's exactly what it is. Now we've been burnt. Our financial folly, ruthlessly exposed, perhaps will be more amenable to the warnings this time around. Sorry, people. Sometimes some of the wording from different English-speaking countries are a bit different. On Wednesday, the Fiscal Advisory Council cautioned that a leap in construction to address the pent-up demand in the housing market could overheat the economy, bidding up prices and wages, and undermining competitiveness in a throwback to the mid-2000s. You got problems in Ireland. Alleluia. About time. Alleluia. Australia's housing market is showing further signs of cooling. Yeah. Alleluia. That's what I want to say. Because it's been a long time that Australia has been under this. I don't know what the parliament's doing there. I have no idea what these people are doing. Okay. Australian auction clearance rates and housing prices weakened last week, adding to evidence that the conditions across the border, broader housing market are cooling. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just getting tired is all. Australian housing market. So Australia is cooling off, and it's been like this for weeks. It's been like this for 5 weeks now. According to the data released by CoreLogic on Monday, a preliminary capital city auction clearance rate of 78.1% was achieved last week, counting to subside for the levels of regularly reported earlier in the year. While above 9.8% final clearance rate reported the prior week, of preliminary figures have a tendency to be revised lower as tardy. Often unsuccessful auctions are reported the group. Indeed, CoreLogic reporting a preliminary clearance of 73.9% the previous week. Capital City auction statistics. Here it is here. Clearance rate, total auctions, CoreLogic results, cleared auctions, uncleared auctions, clearance rate from last year, and total auctions last year. So it's a really good article. It's really long though. So I want you guys to take a look at this if you're down under. It is cooling in Australia. Sydney and Melbourne are seeing signs of cooling. Is Sydney's property market starting to cool? Again, same thing. While 407 properties are up for auction, last Saturday was a record for the Queen's birthday long weekend. The 67.1% clearance rate was the fourth weekend decline in a row. Sorry, I said 5 weeks earlier. Earlier, about 10 minutes earlier, I said 5 weeks. It's actually 4 weeks. I'm sorry, guys. Lowest clearance rate since December 2015. So you're seeing this happening, this ripple effect now happening in Australia. And someone's asking when my store is going to open in Merritt. Follow my, guys, please follow my Opening a Business from Scratch series, Opening a New Store. It's a good series on YouTube. I've been doing it for a while now. I'm at 30 something odd parts. I'm going to do some more footage tomorrow, some more filming. I'm hoping to open first week of July, Canada Day, 1st of July, if possible. Soft open, and then I'll have a grand opening sometime in August or September. So, yeah. Anyways, let's continue. Sydney householders sitting very tight. We don't want to sell. So, I don't know if this is from the Sydney Morning Herald. So, this is what I was trying to tell you guys about this whole tug-of-war. Hey, things are cooling, but you know what? It's because people just don't want to sell. Are you out of your tree? If the market goes down so bad or it's cooling off, you want to sell. But it's all this fear porn. It's all fear porn. It's all they're trying to say, oh, don't listen to these people. They don't know what they're talking about. But it's a trend. Sydney householders sitting very tight. We don't want to sell. I call bull on this. What do you guys say? I call bull on this. Sydney, a city of 5 million people, when including the Central Coast and the Blue Mountains, has fewer homes for sale than Brisbane, a city less than half the size. Sydney is 2.5 times the size of Perth, but the two cities' listings are much different. The graph analysis Perth Wargent using the SQM research figures, blows away wishful thinking wannabes. So let's look at this. Sydney's property problem. So here you go. Oh, I see it's cooling off. Ooh. I see what they're saying here. I see what's happening. It's plateauing. So there was an attempt to suggest the 5.9% increase in Sydney's May listings over April might herald a change in asking prices eased about 1% last month, but that belays the scale of housing shortage. Those big numbers make a mockery of the rats and mice policies. Long article, so if you're down under, this is from the Sydney Morning Herald. Strongly recommend to follow this or read this article. It's really good on what's happening down under. And before I end the show, I want to show you guys this. I shared this on Facebook a while back. This is an old article, but a really old article. But I remember sharing this on Facebook, and I remembered this article, and I want to share it with you guys. 9 jaw-dropping French castles for the price of 1 Vancouver teardown. So, I'm going to say that one more time in case your ears didn't believe what I told you. 9 jaw-dropping, so you could buy 9 French castles in France for the price of 1 teardown in Vancouver. It is not a secret that Vancouver has some most expensive real estate prices in the world. But who would have thought that you could purchase 9 historic French chateau mansions for the price of 1 Point Grey teardown? So this is the Vancouver Point Grey teardown, $22.8 million. So the house is right here. It is the view from the house in the yard, and there's the house there. It's old. You could see the roof falling apart. So it's a teardown. You can't live on it. It's a lot, right? The Point Grey property features a view of Burrard Inlet and the North Shore Mountains, but is the boarded up 2,600 square foot 1937 built teardown with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms really worth $22.8 million? As Pricey Pads puts it, would you rather buy a lot in Vancouver for 22.8 million Canadian or 9 French chateaus for 22.6 million Canadian? So this is you could either buy this thing that needs to be torn down, or you could buy these 9 castles. So this comes up to 3 million. So they add it up for you. There's that one you could buy. So there's 9 of these you could buy basically for the price of 1. So I want to make this clear so you guys understand. There it is. That's 1. This one's 3.8 million. This is nice. I like this one. It's got separate homes. You have a home for your dog, and then you have a home for your mother-in-law where she visits, so you don't have to stay in the same home. Then you have a home for good luck. Then you have a home that you don't even know you have a home. You know what I'm saying? This one here, 3.7 million Canadian, beautiful home. That's added. Look at this one, 2.916 million Canadian. That's a beautiful home. So you're adding this to the 28 whatever million dollars. Oh, look at this one, 2.634 million Canadian. See, this is a $2 million house, guys. 2.5, this is a $2 million house, not a teardown. 1.993. Look at the pool. It's got an Olympic-sized pool. Lots of rooms. Man, you could have parties in that thing, man. You could have all kinds, man. You could even find a university close by, and then you see the little building right here, that little one. You could actually break that down into dorms. And then the kids can use the pool, and then you make a little bit of income off that. Look at that. 1.96. It looks like Disneyland, Disney World castle. Oh, look at that. 1.132 million. This one's cute. 939,000 Canadian. So let's go back. So this basically is all these 9 castles equal this one teardown in Vancouver for 22,800,000. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. And don't forget the subscribe button. And big hug to everyone watching. And I had to go a little bit overtime today in today's show. There was just too much to cover. There's way too much to cover, too much to talk about. The housing thing is I hope there could be some sort of a way to fix these problems. Because there's way too many people that were caught in this trap. And yeah, the show will be up tomorrow if you missed today's show. If you missed this live broadcast or you missed the beginning or something and you want to catch it, it'll be up tomorrow. It'll be a rerun tomorrow. And I think Sunday night I'm going to go do some rewind. Rants and Lifestyle and Housing Crisis rewinds. So I'm going to have some replays happening live. So don't freak out when you see it live. It's like, this thing's old. It's just going to do some replays on Sunday. A lot of people are asking me the same questions over and over that I keep answering in different shows over and over. So I'm going to get some replays happening. I think I'm going to dedicate Sundays to some replay nights. So you just old shows replaying live. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Big hug and good night.